Inside the 24-hour system that moves a city's drinking water, we start at the tap. Your glass fills in about 3 seconds. That's roughly 0.15 gallons on demand, at safe pressure, with disinfectant still effective. One person. One glass. Now scale. 1 million people times about 100 gallons each per day is 100 million gallons that must arrive, on time, today. The human question: if the invisible schedule slips, what breaks first, your shower, a dialysis clinic, or a fire hydrant 2 blocks away? Trace it back to the source. Rivers, reservoirs, or groundwater. The raw water comes with turbidity. Think of it as cloudiness, like fog in water, that tells us how fast treatment can safely run. Cold water slows reactions, warm water speeds them up. A mid-sized plant is rated 80 to 150 mgd, million gallons per day. The core steps are simple in concept. Coagulation clumps tiny particles. Filtration strains them out. Disinfection finishes the job. We target a chlorine residual, the small leftover disinfectant, at your tap, not just at the plant. That safety cushion must survive miles of pipe and hours of travel. All of this rides on energy. About 1.0 to 2.5 kilowatt-hours per 1,000 gallons. At 100 mgd, that's roughly 100,000 to 250,000 kilowatt-hours per day. At 10 cents per kilowatt-hour, we're spending on the order of $10,000 to $25,000 daily to push clean water to people who barely notice the push. Pressure is gravity, disciplined. 1 foot of water height gives about 0.43 psi, pounds per square inch, the force you'd feel under a thumb-sized patch. A 120-foot tank yields roughly 52 psi. Citywide storage is often 25 to 50 million gallons, enough for peak hours, not days. Pressure zones keep buildings between 40 and 80 psi. High-rises use local booster pumps. Without them, the 12th floor gets a trickle when the 2nd floor feels fine. Distribution is where theory meets pavement. Thousands of miles of pipe, say 4,000 miles, plus tens of thousands of valves and hydrants. Main diameters range from 6 inches on small streets up to 48 inches on trunks that feed neighborhoods. Trunk mains form loops for redundancy. Dead ends increase water age, the time water spends traveling, so the residual disinfectant decays before you ever see it. Break rates average about 10 to 20 per 100 miles per year. For 4,000 miles, that's roughly 400 to 800 breaks annually. 1 to 2 a day, every day. Demand has a rhythm you can set a watch by. Morning peak, 5 to 9 a.m., as showers, coffee makers, and clinics come online. Evening bump, 6 to 9 p.m. Irrigation and heat waves can add 20 to 40% on top. Overnight, plants fill tanks. Daytime, tanks drain to meet peaks while plants run steady to avoid energy spikes. How do operators see this? Through SCADA. Think of it as the utility's nervous system that reads tank levels, pressures, pump status, and chlorine residuals every few seconds to minutes. Variable speed pumps follow set points, simple targets, like fill towers to the mark by 5 a.m., or hold zone pressure at 60 psi. Quality fades with time and temperature. The hotter the day, the faster disinfectant decays. Utilities aim to keep maximum water age under about 48 to 72 hours. Mixing systems prevent stratification, layering, in storage tanks. Dead ends get flushed to keep residuals up. Snapshot of a million-person city. Daily demand near 100 mgd. Storage around 40 milligrams. Typical zone pressure 60 psi. Non-revenue water. Losses plus meter error, often 10 to 25%. Assume 18% unless proven otherwise. Energy at 180,000 kilowatt-hours per day costs about $18,000. That's the silent bill beneath every shower. Now we stress the system, minute by minute. 1:12 a.m. Upstream rain muddies the river. Turbidity spikes. Operators slow filters 10% to keep quality safe. The overnight fill plan slips by 90 minutes. 4:58 a.m. 2 towers sit at only 62%. Controllers push pumps harder. Prices are still off-peak but rising. 8:03 a.m. A 24-inch main in a 70 size zone ruptures. Discharge is on the order of 20,000 to 30,000 gallons per minute until isolation. That's a backyard pool every few minutes into the street. 8:05 a.m. SCADA alarms on falling pressure. Automatic valves throttle neighboring zones to hold at least 45 psi for hydrants. 8:40 a.m. Crews isolate 4 valves. Service outage is contained to 11 blocks. Tanks draw down to stabilize pressure while the plant holds quality. Where it breaks. Pressure overshoot accelerates leaks and bursts. Every extra 10 psi meaningfully raises background leakage. Storage mistimed leaves tanks too low at the morning peak, forcing fragile pump-only operation. Single points of failure, an unlooked trunk main or a pump station without backup power, turn routine defects into citywide events. Hot days lengthen water age. Oversized tanks and long dead ends degrade disinfectant just when heat increases demand. Why it holds. Elevated storage shifts cheap night energy into daytime pressure. Zoning and loops provide alternate paths when crews cut in a repair. Telemetry gives early alarms that stop cascades before they grow teeth. The leverage point is pressure management with district metered areas, DMAs, which are just neighborhoods with measured inflow and controlled pressure. Smart valves, PRVs, pressure-reducing valves that act like cruise control for pressure, adjust set points in real time. Zone-level flow and pressure tell you where leaks grow and where to ease off. The impact is measurable: 20 to 40% fewer bursts, 10 to 20% lower leakage, more stable chlorine residuals, 10 to 25% energy savings by smarter night fills. Control pressure, and you control losses, break rates, and energy at once. Kitchen table reality. Know your home's main shutoff valve, and test it once a year. Keep 3 gallons per person, 3-day minimum, because trucks and crews run on hours, not wishes. Sign up for outage and boil advisories. A small gravity or hand pump filter buys comfort and time. Stagger laundry and irrigation off-peak on extreme heat days. It's a tiny pressure donation to your neighbor's hydrants. Protect the pipes. No wipes, no grease. Drain clogs turn into cross-connection risks inside buildings when pressure dips. Institutional playbook. Build DMAs and pressure management, smart PRVs, continuous zone flow and pressure sensing, auto-isolation logic that closes the right valves fast. Treat time as inventory, optimize tank mixing, hit pre-dawn fill targets, and maintain minimum emergency head in every zone. Harden the backbone, back up power at plants and key pump stations, loop critical trunk mains, preposition valves for rapid isolation. Shorten water age, eliminate dead ends, right-size tanks, add mixers, monitor residuals and temperature continuously. Integrate energy with water ops, time of use pumping and on-site solar plus storage where feasible. Practice cyber hygiene for SCADA, segmented networks, read-only historian feeds for operators, and tested manual fallbacks. Scorecard to publish. Pressure reliability, minutes above 40 psi during peaks and during outages. Leakage, percent non-revenue water by DMA, monthly trend, not annual surprises. Breaks, burst per 100 miles per year and time to isolation. Quality, average water age, residual chlorine at system extremities, and customer complaints per 1,000 connections. Energy, kilowatt-hour per 1,000 gallons and savings from schedule optimization. The water you never see is a choreography of height, pressure, and chemistry. Keep the clocks in sync, and everything downstream, showers, clinics, hydrants, stays simple. Verdict: vulnerabilities versus strengths. Vulnerabilities: pressure overshoot that feeds leaks and bursts, tanks mistimed against morning peaks, single points of failure in trunk mains and pump stations, hot day water age that erodes disinfectant, cyber and control gaps that delay alarms, and thin backup power. Strengths and mitigations: elevated storage that shifts time, looped networks and pressure zones that reroute flow, telemetry that catches drift early, DMA-level pressure control that cuts losses and stabilizes quality, and coordinated energy schedules that cheapen the push. Testable takeaway. At home, measure your tap's flow and pressure proxy tonight. Fill a 1-gallon pitcher and time it. If it takes 15 seconds, your flow is about 4 GPM. Repeat at 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. Note the difference. That's your household's demand rhythm meeting the city's. For professionals, run a 2-hour DMA pressure step test at 4:30 a.m. Lower set point 5 psi in one zone while logging flow and residuals. If flow drops materially without complaints or residual loss, you just found free leakage reduction and energy savings. Next target. In our next audit, we stress test the urban power grid that keeps the pumps alive, and see how a substation fault turns into a citywide pressure dip in under 5 minutes. Red Team question. In your domain, what single point of failure are you betting on today? And what's the cheapest way to buy 1 hour of grace when it snaps?